Hi, everybody. Very seriously, don't tweet the B word at any point during this conversation.
It looks like there's an awful lot of white hats in that room. Except for one, what is that? Right? Yeah, that guy. That guy up front. Yeah, he looks like he's a little black. Okay, so be careful about him.
Yeah. My name's Marta Mcdonald. I work for a company called OMD in the UK. It's a big agency. We've got big clients, people like PepsiCo and McDonald's and things like that. But so I'm very, very corporate now. I kind of don't do any shady stuff whatsoever. I don't say you should do, it's a bad idea, you'll get banned from Google. But knowing some of this stuff can really help you in your white hat ways. Knowing how the guys that Will Reynolds was talking about in his speech the other day. Is Will in the room? Where he was saying, yeah, so I look at the other guys that were outranking me because they had, rubbish links off .edu sites and all the rest of it. For a number of years, I was that guy that had those rubbish links. I worked in poker for 3 years, and then I worked in entertainment for 4 years. That was before I moved into agency side. So that's the kind of stuff that I've done. This presentation is called Creative SEO. There's stuff in here that is so whiter than white, there is no way that it could be labeled in any way inappropriate. There's some stuff in here that possibly could be labeled a little bit darker, but please, as a personal favor to Rand and to myself, do not mention the B word in any tweets whatsoever during this session. Please. I'll say that several times throughout the entire talk, but please. So a little bit about OMD. I was alluding to them a second ago. 8,000 staff, over 140 countries. We're part of Omnicom. We handle search marketing in Europe for airlines and railway companies and most of the car manufacturers and things like that. So it's all big business and not the kind of people that you can get away with pulling shady shit with. Apart from, we didn't do BMW when they got banned. But, they sometimes do that kind of stuff, but I don't suggest it because it can blow up. Last thing about the company, we've recently won, this is kind of a big deal in Europe, we've recently won the Digital Agency of the Year from New Media Age. So, yay. Anyway. The first thing is a couple of quality guidelines from Google. These are the first 3 things that they say in the Webmaster Help section. Stuff that you shouldn't be doing now, or should be doing in this case. Make pages primarily for users. Totally agree. That's fine. I don't think that anybody should be doing anything where they're cloaking text or they're trying to get away with stuff just for the sake for having it there for Googlebot. That's a bad idea. Don't bother doing it. It's kind of like amateur hour 2002 type SEO. Avoid tricks. Again, don't do tricks, because when you get caught doing it, you're going to look a complete idiot. If you're agency side, you'll lose the client. And then the next agency that comes along will have a look at what you did. They'll have a nice laugh. They might put a blog post up about it. I certainly would if we took over a customer that suffered from that kind of stuff. So, avoid tricks. I'm still totally with Google. This last one, however, all of SEO, pretty much, is about, in some way or another, link schemes, right? Whether you're publishing the world's best infographic that has ever existed. Excuse me while I have a wardrobe change.
We're going to fix this microphone. Hold on. Because it's rubbing on your
Is it? Fair enough. I'm back. Anything that you do, pretty much, is some kind of, it could be labeled as a link scheme. Producing the world's best infographic. Fundamentally a link scheme, right? You're doing it to attract links. You're not doing it because you love the graphic design and you want to share this information. You're doing it for the links, right? So by the very letter of the law, everybody in this room who has ever tried to attract a link by any way, shape, or form is a black hat. That's just my personal opinion on it. But I am absolutely not a black hat. I cannot reinforce that enough. I do not do this stuff anymore. Now, there was a question that I posed at a conference called Search Marketing Day in Poland about 2 months ago. It was smaller than this. There was about 150, 180 people in the room. It was a great conference, and I posed the same question that I'm going to ask you guys now. How many people in this room, raise your hands, if you have never, ever, ever either bought or sold a link? 2. It's quite a lot, yeah. Okay, so that's what, maybe 2 dozen? Maybe, I don't know, 25, 30 people in this room of 450 have never bought a link. That's quite a low percentage. When I asked it in Poland, it was 150, 180 people. Guess how many people put their hands up because they'd never, ever bought or sold a link? More than 0, 3. 3 people out of 150. One of them, agency team leader for Google. Another one of them, head of web spam for Google Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And the third person, I'm hoping he was in the wrong room, right? Seriously. I just really hope for that guy's sake that he was in the wrong room. He didn't know what he was doing, because he would have got monstered by that lot over there. But what I've come up with, Rand had this announcement, the first part of the first day of all the new tools they've got. I've got an announcement as well. I have developed a system to measure how black hat all of these tactics that we're going to be looking at for the rest of the conversation are. And I like to call it the Fishkin rain scale. With Rand being... Rand is a 0 on the Fishkin rain scale. Bob is a 15, according to this. So what we're going to do is we're going to move gradually from a 0, as white hat as you can possibly get, right the way up to stuff that, you'll probably go to hell for doing. Now, the first thing, now this is, you will approve of this, okay? There is absolutely nothing black hat about this at all. I, for a long time, have thought, now, Richard Baxter's presentation the other day about keyword research was absolutely brilliant, right? But when you start working on big brand SEO, a lot of these guys don't have transactional websites. 3 of those brands up there are owned by Pepsi. The other one is McDonald's, obviously. None of those guys are ever going to sell a packet of chips on the website. They're never going to sell a Big Mac menu on their website, right? So they've still got these sites. What are they doing with them? Frankly, most big brands that are in this situation are pretty rubbish. But there's so much that they could be doing with SEO that they're not. Now, all of the brands up here are spending hundreds of millions and, in 2 cases, billions a year on offline advertising, right? They're buying huge amounts of TV. They're buying huge amounts of radio. They've got billboards everywhere. This is a huge, huge investment for them. But they're not doing anything with SEO. And, the question is why not? Because their perception is that the website isn't worth anything to them because they're not going to make sales through their website. Yet at the same time, they don't make sales through billboards, do they? That's there for impacts. That's there for brands. They don't make sales on TV adverts. It's just branding and impact. So use SEO for this stuff, right? Tropicana, how to make fresh orange juice. Look at the results on that. That, in the UK, it's something like 12,000 exact match searches a month. Here in the US, presumably, it'll be considerably bigger than that. But that's prime opportunity for a company like Tropicana to take over the SERPs. They've already got a huge amount of domain authority. They've got a rubbish website that's entirely Flash-based. They should be inhabiting search terms like this. Now, if you look at McDonald's as another example, I'm not saying that they're going to rank for this naturally, but this is the perfect branding exercise for them. How many people in the United States search every month for eat healthy or those related terms? It's going to be in the hundreds of thousands, right? How much are those companies going to be paying for a television advert that has the same kind of exposure? They can do some SEO and have it for free forever. They can align their brands this way. They can attract new customers that wouldn't have considered their brands in the past. I mean, Tropicana is probably a better example in this than McDonald's because it has much more competition in its marketplace and so on and so forth. But if you were, searching on how to make fresh orange juice, you're not about to run out and buy a box or a bottle or whatever they're sold in these days of Tropicana. But having the brand name up there, if you can get an image stuck in there with the logo, absolutely brilliant. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that big brands should be engaging in these days, but just aren't. That's it for the white hat stuff. Apart from the 2 examples that I've given there, there's lots of other stuff you can do, right? I think probably the biggest part of opportunity here is targeting on searches that are out of the vertical that your company is operating in, but they hit the core demographic of the searches that you're trying to attract. Now, if you look at the Converse campaign from 2 years ago that was by PPC, where they were targeting, I think there was like 3,000 keywords that they targeted overall over the course of the campaign, and it was things like first day of summer, or how to get a prom date, things like that, because they're targeting the, whatever it is, 14 to 21-year-old, predominantly male audience. And they looked at all of the search queries that they could find over the course of the year that they knew were either going to have reasonably regular volume or they would spike, like the first day of summer. And there's no competition for this stuff, right? So they launched subsites for all of these search terms and just inhabited it with a branding message. Now, that's brilliant. That's absolutely fantastic. What they never did was used it for SEO. They just PPC'd them all. So they have to carry on paying for this year on year and so on and so forth. But you've got such an opportunity to attack this stuff with SEO and get huge amounts of branding. The next thing that I'm going to talk about, we're moving slightly up the ruler here. This is like a 2.5 on the FR scale, is how to get really good content and get it for free. I'm not talking about content generation. I'm talking about production. I'm talking about people actually writing content that they care about for you and doing it well and you not paying them. It turns out there's a really, really easy way of doing this, and it's called child labor. So I worked for a number of years in entertainment, which is great because I wanted to rank for things like Lady Gaga and Beyonce and stuff like that. People are kind of passionate about that stuff. So there's a huge amount of people out there that don't have the technical abilities to start their own website. These are the people that have got, they might have Tumblr blogs, they might have, the more advanced ones might have, the blah, blah, blah.wordpress.com, things like that. But if you can if you've got the kind of business that people are passionate about the industry that it's in, it could be a lot of things, you can do this trick that we've been doing for a number of years, is offer anyone that's interested and passionate in the subject a domain name that comes with a pre-configured blog. It's designed beautifully, and the deal is they can have the domain name for as long as they want. All they have to do is put up at least one piece of content a week, which is good and original. If they haven't put anything up in 2 weeks, they get a warning email. And if they haven't put anything up in a month, they lose the domain, and that goes back into an active pile of available fan sites that we've got. So over 3.5 years, we grew this to be 2,500 websites, all of which are updated regularly, all of which look absolutely beautiful, all of which are proper, unique, good content. This is a great network of sites. This isn't, cookie-cutter crap. This is excellent stuff. And why are we doing it? Because we've got 2,500 sites stored on 170 different servers across the world that we can utilize for link building whenever we want them. And it becomes an incredibly powerful thing. It's an excellent way of doing it. It genuinely is. You end up with great websites. If you want to, you could always sell the websites and sell the network at the end of the day, and you can augment the cost of them as well with putting AdSense up there. So it doesn't really cost very much. Even if you didn't do that, you're looking at the price of domain registration and a little bit of hosting, but when you're doing it at scale, it doesn't cost that much. $10 a site for as many links as you want forever, and you've got the site at the end of the day. Child labor is a wonderful thing in SEO. I know what you're thinking, though. I absolutely know what you're thinking, because it was easy for me because I was working in entertainment. And every one of you out there are thinking the same thing. What if my niche is dilated cardiomyopathy? It's, with that kind of niche, you are never going to attract 100 bloggers that want to write about that shit, right? So you've got to do something else. In this kind of circumstance, so I'm not saying you should do this, I'm just saying you could do it. I'm just saying you could do really good auto-generated content. Now, this little video thing will be playing behind me. I'm not really going to refer to the video, but this is a guy he's actually the world's highest published author. He has got 207,000 books published, 100 and something thousand of them are available on Amazon, and a lot of them have got really good reviews, right? He's a university professor in France, I believe he's American, and he has spent many, many years, like a decade, building this system where what it's doing is he gives it a set of seed keywords, it goes out there, it scrapes the web of hundreds or thousands of sources of information around that niche. It then compiles all of that information into a well-written book with graphs, with tables, with discussion and conversation around it. I mean, this has taken him years to do, but now his business basically is selling these books on Amazon. And if you have a look at the reviews, there's some of them that aren't very good, but then, there's probably 200 or 300 of his books that have got an average of 4 or 5 stars, because he's concentrating on the long tail. You're about to see in a second, as we get into this video, it's now going to start producing the book. So there we are. This is all unique, genuine content. It's good enough for SEO because it's good enough to sell as a book on Amazon. This stuff is incredible. The guy's name is Philip M. Parker. There's his Wikipedia page. Look him up. It's absolutely incredible. If you don't believe me, there's his Wikipedia page. 107,000 results, which dies on this version, but never mind. 107,000 results of his books. And, the beautiful thing is, to answer the first question, that's how you get content for dilated cardiomyopathy, is by doing this kind of stuff. Now, I am not saying that we could all do this, right? He's very, very intelligent. He's far more intelligent than I am. I couldn't do that kind of stuff. But there's other ways of getting content, right? We're now in this world where content is pretty much a commodity. You've got, you can buy it by the dollar almost. You can also get auto-generated content, which I hate. And personally, I have never, ever used any auto-gen content, with Markov thing. I don't do that. The two problems with them is when you start trying to do it in scale, everything that I've done has always been scale. So if you wanted to buy 250,000 articles from Textbroker or CopyPress, it's going to cost a shit ton of money, right? It's going to be expensive. If you want to spin 250,000 articles, they're going to be absolutely rubbish. But again, turns out there's quite an easy solution for this. Rand talked about, well, he didn't talk about this, but he gave me the idea for it. What was it you said the other day about how much of the web is churned every month or every 3 months or something? What percentage?
20%.
20% of every page on the internet disappears every month?
Yeah, in a 30-day period, yeah.
Yeah, wow. So out of that 20%, right, there's going to be a lot of it which is rubbish. There's going to be a lot of, just whatever, database-driven pages that have got nothing on it whatsoever. But still, 20% of the web, there's going to be a ton of good content on that now no longer exists anywhere. So what do? Find a couple of websites that are doing this, build a scraper, download everything on that website. Don't go back to the website again. You've already got their content. That's fine. Go to Google about once every 6 weeks, run a search for a couple of sentences of that content. If it's dropped out of the index, you can repurpose and recycle it. This is a green SEO tip. And you can stick it on your website. What have you got there? You have got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pages every single month, millions of pages that you can utilize for good, unique content.
Martin, that sounds like the Wayback Machine to me.
I'm going to mention that in a second. So, perfect example. Everything on MSN drops out after 30 days, right? Everything. If you look at MSN in the States, the UK, Australia, all of their English language sites, I bet there's 1,000 articles a day that are published on this, all of which 30 days from today are going to be available for you to use. Now, apart from just taking the content, you could also mine through something like Open Site Explorer or Yahoo Link Domain, for as long as they have it, or Majestic, who linked to all of this content, and then email them and say, look, I notice you've got a link to the site on MSN, and it's not there anymore. It's on my site. Would you like to link to me? It's scalable content generation that is good stuff, and you get linked as well. It's just perfect. There you go, archive.org, Wayback Machine. This is a perfect place for this, and Rand is displaying some black hat knowledge here. He's like, yeah, you could just use archive.org for this stuff. It's perfect. How many websites over the last 15 or 16 years have expired that are in your niche that you can get the content out of archive.org for? It's a bit of a slow process because their page load times are horrible and all the rest of it, but it's kind of a long-term thing, and you can get some really good stuff on there, so have a look through it. Just search for any competitors of yours that had good websites that went bust during the recession period or when the bubble burst, and just steal all the content. They don't care. They don't work in the business anymore. Another way of doing it, we're halfway up the scale here, is get Google to provide you your own content, which is a cracking one. Now, Richard talked about this plugin in a speech about 2 years ago, which I wrote, and he didn't know it was mine at that point in time. And someone else actually did the same thing at another conference about 2 months ago, is mine your Google search query volume for content to put on your website and do it automatically. Now, what I'm talking about here is the search volume that's already coming to your site, okay? So in Google Analytics all of the keywords that have come to your site, but you can do it better than that. What you can do is you can strip it out of the HTTP referrer. The beauty of this stuff is that your site's already relevant for these terms because you're already receiving traffic for these terms. So this isn't, a lot of people think this might be a bit back out. I don't. I think this is completely above board. So this is a screenshot of the plugin that I took from my SEO site yesterday. These were just 4 recent things. It's got how many had come in over the time period that I selected and what the position was in Google. And I've got a couple of rules, and basically they revolve around how much traffic I'm receiving off individual query terms, whether or not those query terms appear in an exact match format on my page, and what position in Google they're in. So let's say it doesn't appear on the page, yet it's outside of 6th position, and I've had at least 5 clicks in the last month. What happens is it then takes that and adds it into a little tag cloud, which sits on the bottom of my page. And guess what? Next time Google hit it, they now have essentially the exact match for that keyword phrase. The rankings go up maybe from 7th or 8th or 9th up to 3rd or 4th, things like that. This isn't something that you see a big hit instantly. It's something that grows over months. It grows organically. This is an example of my What is MozRank page, which for a number of months outranked SEO Moz for MozRank and doesn't anymore. Because, yeah, Tom and Will have basically done me over. But you can see here, look, this is, the search I did was on words that contain Moz. So I've also got a bit of DMoz, and I've got a bit of Mozilla in there. But this is something that's been live on that website for a year. And there's, I think, 25 on that page, and there's 5,000 pages of search terms related to Moz that I've received traffic from. Those are the top ones based on outside of the top 5, I think is configured for at the moment, and then by traffic. So use Google to mine this stuff. I don't know why my images keep on disappearing. Anyway, we're moving further down the black hat scale. This one's fairly bad, and it's going to be a live demonstration if anyone in the audience is brave enough. Writing plugins for PHP CMSs is probably the #1 way of link building at scale. It's absolutely great. I've got quite a lot that are released on platforms like WordPress.org and vBulletin and things like that. 2 of them that I outed at a conference in London, they leave a footprint, so you can see how many links you've got from them. This one's a PubSub so rolls off the tongue, plugin for vBulletin, so that's 2.8 million links come from that. The next one is that plugin that I showed you a second ago. On every one of the pages that it creates, there's always at the beginning of the tag cloud, visitors found this page by searching for. There's 20 million iterations of that in Google. That's 20 million links that I've got that point back to the site of my choice. The problem with these blog network things and running it's just you lose control. As soon as it's out there in the ether, they can remove the link attribution. You can't change things once it's installed, all the rest of it. There's a lot of drawbacks to doing it. You might have done it for a client. The client's no longer a client. You might want to reappropriate those links for somebody else. So what do? You can serve the links from the cloud. Now, who wants 3 million links? Seriously? Wow, everyone. Right, OK. You're not having 3 million links, Bob. No, don't worry, not you. Right, sorry, did you put your hand up? Can we move on to this laptop? Give me the name of your site and what you would like to rank for. Shipoverseas.com. Hold on 1 second. Ship as in boat, right? Overseas.com. Please work. Please work. Yeah, no, it's the internet. I'm not saying it's not. It's the internet. Hang on, let's see if this is going to work. If not, I've got it in a video, but I would really have preferred to, because the person whose site I did is in the room and they don't know about it yet. Oh, here we go. We've got shipoverseas.com. Excellent. It isn't SEO Moz now. Right, so what we'll do here is we'll just do a little, so push by, American keyboard, sorry. Push by SEO forum. See how many we've got at the moment. 2.6 million. Okay, 2.59 million results which have that, which are all currently linking back to me. So there was one that I looked at earlier, as you can see there. It's actually this tab. And these are, to talk about what Adam was talking about a second ago, with how Google is defining how important links are based on where they are on the page and all the rest of it. These are rubbish links, right? They're absolutely terrible. But the thing is, I've got 300 or 400 million of them. So even though they're rubbish, you can still rank for almost anything by doing this kind of stuff. Now, if we look right down at the bottom of the page, you can see there, push by SEO forum. And that is a clean link on this guy's site. This isn't owned by someone in the room, is it? Supracentral.com? That'd be really embarrassing. No? Cool. Right. So what we're going to do is open up a little configuration file. View, edit. Yeah, reopen the local one. OK, so what do you want to rank for, sir? Seriously, give me keywords that you want to rank for. International car shipping. Excellent. Right, let's just save that. Close this. Yes, I want to upload that back to the server. Please work. There we go, done. Right, you now have. Let's just refresh this page. Let's come down to the bottom. There you go. Push by international car shipping. So that's 3 million links saying that. I'll turn it off after the thing. So, well, we could talk, but you know. Anyway, yeah. There was, how am I doing? Oh, shit. I'm really pushed for time. There's something else that I wanted to do as well, which I'll see if I can do in 30 seconds, which Rand put out a challenge at the beginning of the week saying, see if you can include any stuff of this in your deck. Now, here's a great one. And what we're going to do is rename this bit of the session, How to Spam Rand. There is a bit of a, let's say this might be Google Plus's first privacy issue, is find people on Plus is great, right? You can use it too for blogger outreach. If you go onto it and you type in people who are related to SEO, you get 15,000 people who are related to SEO. If you type in SEO blogger, you then get whatever. There's a couple of thousand. But the great thing about this is, so we'll just go straight to SEO blogger so you can see what I mean. Okay, so there's now 684 people who have both SEO and blogger. If we just narrow this down slightly to people with over 500 followers, there's a great list there, right? What you can do with almost everybody on this list, and I will use Rand as the example because I know he'll hate me for this, is you can go to their page. Is this going to work because I'm not logged into Google? I'm not sure if I can hit Google+. I might have to log into Google for this. And we have a look at his Google+ profile. And yeah, send him an email, which, because I'm not logged into Google, I can't do, because you need to be logged in to do it. But you hit that, and that just goes straight to Rand's Gmail inbox. You can turn that off, by the way. I'd probably recommend you do it now. But I mean, that's a silly example. But you can do great research. You can find all sorts of people, especially in our industry where everybody is already on Google+. You can find anybody in this way and send them a direct email that goes straight through to their Gmail. Anyway, I'll skip past the video of the person who I did. Legal question. How many people in this room have ever received a 20-page legally binding contract and signed it without reading any of it whatsoever? If you have done that, put your hand up. 1, 2. Wow. There's some really naive people in this room. I think everybody has done, though, right? Because as soon as you hit that agree and continue on any download, you have agreed to the terms and conditions as put forward by that software provider. Now, the plugins that you download from WordPress, any of the ones that I've written, any of the ones that you download on vBulletin that I've written, they all kind of have these things. And one of the things that it says in there is there is a link or other data which will be included on your page from time to time. In the case that I just showed you, it is a link. But, and you should always be really careful when you're installing stuff onto your personal website because you're giving people so much control. There's other stuff that you could do apart from just getting links, some of which is really horrible, right? Some of which is fun. We'll start with the fun stuff first because I've only got 5 minutes left. Now, this is right down the scale. We are now at a range scale of 15 and a Fishkin score of 0. This is getting bad, right? Again, don't tweet any of this stuff, and I have a little legal disclaimer. SEO Moz will not be held responsible. I will not be held responsible for playing any tricks on Google, but this stuff is good fun. Now, I was tasked with a problem. About 3 months ago in that I didn't rank for my own name. I'd never really bothered. Before I went into the corporate world, it didn't really matter. It was probably best that I didn't rank for my own name. Someone else already owns the .com variant. Someone called Marta Mcdonald has a Wikipedia page because he's the conductor for the Canadian Royal National Orchestra or something. There's a lot of other Marta Mcdonalds that, there's a Marta Mcdonald that lives in the UK who's a sports nutritionalist who appears on like breakfast TV and shit, right? So I'm in a really tough space as far as names are concerned for my SERPs. So I had to build some links, I had to build a little website that I put there. And the one thing that was really killing me was you typed in Marta Mcdonald into Google, and the auto-suggest was always saying, Marta Mcdonald, Loughborough University, where the nutritionalist's from, or orchestra, or some other shit like that. So query volume manipulation is a great way of doing lots of stuff. But the same way that I built those links a minute ago, you can create false search queries whenever someone hits a page of any of the sites that have got any of this stuff installed. So this at the moment works out to be about 400 million queries a month I can funnel to Google of whatever I want. So I did a little amount for my name, Marta Mcdonald. You can see there's a little spike there about, what, 4 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, where the search volume worldwide has just kind of gone up. Now, what I was doing was I was sending search volumes for search queries for Marta Mcdonald SEO, Marta Mcdonald search engine optimization, things like that. It took 5 days of that spike there to change the results to Marta Mcdonald SEO, and then the conductor after me, and the guy who's the sports nutritionist has gone entirely, which is fantastic, right? Now, I was telling Will about this the other day, and he said, wow, that's brilliant. You could use this for, you know, reputation management. You could push out brand name scam. You could push out brand name, you know, rip-off, things like that. I hadn't even thought about that. I was thinking about pushing in brand name scam, brand name rip-off. It was like, you know, the heavens opened and I could see the light for the first time. Now, with very limited link building, the page now ranks #1, and the guy that I got off was the nutritionalist, which he had like the 6-pack of site links and all the rest of it. It was a good site.
Wait a minute, Martin, is this, I'm sorry to stop you, but is this saying essentially that if 400 million people search for Marta Mcdonald SEO, not only will you become the first result in suggest/instant, you'll also start ranking?
So when that happened was as soon as I changed the title tag on that page to be Marta Mcdonald SEO.
So this is proof positive that query volume directly impacts ranking.
Yeah.
Holy.
It's a dirty test, right? Because there was links being built to it as well. I've got a link on, well, I say there's links being built to it. I think you've got one on Moz, and you've got one on Distilled as well that links to that page. And I've got a footer link in my forum that also links to it. But that's it. Those are the only 3 sites that link to it.
So this is not ranking because of links. This is ranking because of search query volume. So you're saying...
All I'm saying is, after I did it, that happened. Right?
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
So I've got 1 minute 30 left, and I was going to talk about some really black hat stuff, but that might have to be in the bar later on. So far, it's just been, you know, this fun stuff. But there are plenty more things that you can do when you have a network that's big enough where you can inject whatever you want, not in a malicious way, because people have agreed to it by installing my plugins. Now, quite frankly, the plugins that I give away are good value because they're free and because they do good stuff. I've got the second most popular SEO plugin on vBulletin. I've got plugins with 20 or 30,000 installs on WordPress.org. They tend to be around a theme, but if you were to do this and you had this great idea for something and you wanted only targeted links off it, it would be quite easy to do, because when you're installing the widget, or when you're installing it into your blog or your forum, all you have is a little drop-down menu similar to what you see on every advertising site. My website is and then a drop-down menu, advertising, agriculture, whatever, 200 different things like that. And then you can just pick on individual sites and place links on those sites. So this can be really targeted as well. There's lots of ways you can do it. Once you can manufacture search query volume as well, it's a great way of screwing with other people's quality scores on AdWords, which isn't a very friendly thing to do at all. And I probably shouldn't go into this. No, Rand's shaking his head no. Yeah, we're fine. Right, so let's just say I am able to drive 400 million queries a month for...
we've gone this far.
Yeah, the brand name SEO Moz, okay? Now, he is already PPCing for that term. If I were to divert all of that and create that kind of volume from, let's say, midnight to 5 o'clock in the morning here, your click-through rate would collapse to 0.000 something. I am then coming in, day-parted away from the time when I'm creating this search volume, and hitting it with a high bid. And I am now getting a much higher click-through rate than you are. It doesn't take very long for you to be unable to appear for your brand term. Yet I can appear for it whenever I want. Now, you're a clever guy and you'll notice this. There's a lot of people's brands who aren't that clever. if you can manufacture search volume, there's lots and lots of little hicks and tracks, tricks and hacks you can do, and that's just one of them. Anyway, I'm into a warning time thing, which I haven't seen any other speaker doing whatsoever. So I am going to cease my black hat ramblings. Please, please don't tweet that word. Any other word is good, but not that. And thank you very much.